Tragically, gun violence in the city is increasing.
Carjacking
from violent 8 shootings in New
Someone
Orleans.
was murdered.
Gruesome stabbing.
A deadly shooting.
Mother shot execution
Beating
style.
someone with a metal pipe in an armed
fatal
robbery.
shooting of a 12-year-old boy.
Where do you start when the sights of crime scenes, sounds of sirens, and ever-flowing tears for loved ones lost become the norm? You start with the victims, says Laura Canizero Rodriguez.
Jana and Jalen Blunt join us today. Take a good look at these young ladies. Their mother was summarily executed by her ex-boyfriend in a parking lot outside of her apartment complex. The perpetrator fled to Tennessee, where he shot a police officer. At the time he murdered their mother, he had been arrested 25 times and was on probation. These women, they deserve answers to some very important questions. Why was he given probation? Why was he out on the street? What happened at each of the 25 prior arrests? They deserve answers. Along with her is Miss Nadia Sanchez of New Orleans, whose mother, Jeanette, was carjacked in New Orleans in 2018. During that carjacking, the perpetrators rode over her and killed her with her own car in her own driveway in front of her own family.
In New Orleans, we've lost the privilege of going on about our business. Now we have to navigate around crime. Brief time. When you become a victim, you're nobody's priority. There's nobody to tell you the who, the what, the when, the where. And you need answers because your life is shattering and the ground's not under your feet. And you need somebody to give you some direction, and that's nobody's job right now.
I was the 14th victim out of 14 that they had been on a crime spree for about 48 hours. So the individual that I had information on that put a gun in my face was let go because I was not informed of the trial. Have received no information from the DA's office. There is no victim's advocate.
We need to protect the victims. The system is so geared right now, talking about criminals, their charges. Last week, there was, the young shooter was in court, and I had a victim advocate waiting on a Zoom link to get in. I texted my victim advocate through the DA's office. I said, please let her in. They never let her in. Later on, I found out she was out on bereavement leave. Fine, but nobody replaced her. Nobody called from the DA's office. I never got an update. It was actually another victim who called me and said, hey, it's in the press that the case will be heard again on March 14th. There were no updates. I went on the docket master. There was nothing. We don't know what's going on. They don't want us to know. They're trying to get them back out onto the streets, and they've been doing a fine job of it.
Transparency, we need it. The system failed us. The teen that shot Daryl, Lionel Reynolds, he was 13. 13. I want to say it again. 13 with 15 open charges. All right? 3 days before Daryl was shot, this same 13-year-old shot someone else. No transparency, you all. Had the system not had that revolving door, my grandson wouldn't be in a wheelchair.
I have a great deal of compassion in my heart, but that does not exclude me from saying, please be swift and firm with sentencing. Please stop the endless appeals. My son's murderer has had over 20 appeals and counting. Every time an appeal happens, I relive this day, this moment, my son dying in my arms.
People had to hire their own attorneys to figure out what was going on. There is indication in the pleadings that they were misled on some reasons for release, believing that there was a legal basis that they had to release people. That was not true. So I think that the victims speak for the residents of Orleans Parish when they say we're not okay with these releases. I think the judge A judge in Orleans Parish speaks out in this transcript and says, this is extremely concerning to me that somebody's going to confess to murder and everybody's going to let him walk right out of the door, and we just basically put him up here to get the other guy out. So we see the people of Orleans Parish speaking out in these pleadings. It's really a shame that in Orleans we do have to rely on leaders that are statewide to come in and say that's not going to happen anywhere in the state.
Well, Governor Jeff Landry has officially signed crime bills passed during the special session on crime earlier this month into law, and he signed the final 8 of those bills down in New Orleans yesterday, each focusing on bringing significant changes to our justice system.
For far too long, victims have walked around in our criminal justice system in the dark without even a flashlight to be able to find their way to make sure that their justice is served.
A great thing to feel like as a normal person that you can use your voice to make some change, to get something to actually happen.
A report from the New Orleans Police Department shows carjackings are down significantly. Now, this dip in carjackings comes as Governor Jeff Landry signs a bill stiffening penalties for the crime. The bill, now law, will increase jail time for offenders regardless of if a victim is hurt.